Thanks everybody for joining us. I'm super excited. You can see sitting next to me is Matt Hedstrom from Rehab Estimator Pro. I've been posting a few things lately just about the abilities that it can do. It's something that I've been used for probably the better part of 2 years or so. So I'm really excited to interview him about this. I did want to talk just a little bit before we begin of some updates that I have. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jen Green. I am part of Property House Partners here located in the Twin Cities Metro in Minnesota. And we more or less help folks out who need to sell their homes quickly for any kind of situation, or if you're even just looking for a cash sale, looking for terms, we always present 2 to 3 different offers every time, and then you more or less get to choose which one works best for you. So any of those questions, please also funnel them my way. We're available on multiple different types of social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. If you also have questions about anything, you can always post those on YouTube and I can always get you a quick answer for that. My assistant and intern is going to be posting some of that information in the links here on the comments. So let me know if you guys also have questions. I have this streaming live also on another computer next to me. So if there are questions that do come in during this, please feel free to ask them. I will be available. Matt will also be available during this interview. So hi, Matt. How are you?
Great. How are you? Great to see you.
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So obviously did a little bit of an introduction of Rehab Estimator Pro, but you're the creator, you and Scott. So why don't you tell me a little bit about, obviously a little bit of background of you. You were a general contractor for years and then moved into the investing piece of it. But what is it that really made you want to do, to create Rehab Estimator Pro, and what is it?
Awesome. Thanks. This goes back. Yeah, I've been a contractor for 25 plus years. Started in Minnesota. So your stomping grounds there. I mean, that's my whole life. All my family's there. We were just there last Thursday to Sunday. Despite all of the drama going on everywhere. But man, this comes down to developing a tool that everything that I've developed, I have a lot of tools that we use and that we've created for software. I was never in the software business. My tools were in my belt, right? And but this was something that I needed to get in and out of a house quickly. And this is a deal where I looked at it as a broad scope and look at, all these new investors coming in and watching them just destroy themselves, on their first deals. We can give a boot camp, right, for 2 days and teach everybody, hey man, you can do real estate. It's going to change your life. And then all of a sudden we turn around and say, hey, I know you work behind in a cubicle. You've been at a corporate job, but no problem. You can become a general contractor in 2 days. I mean, that's insulting, right? Like, how do we equip people? So it really became a tool I needed for myself to just take all the knowledge I had, put it in something that my team can use on a scalable system. I wanted something I could put in my bookkeeper's hands that could go out and estimate repairs. So it really was a tool I developed for us. And then when people started to see it and realize what it was, that's when we decided to launch and help other investors out there to be able to, even if you've never done any remodeling whatsoever on your own, we want you to be able to use this tool and get an accurate, what we call takedown number.
Yeah. So I want to have Katie and Gabby, I know you're probably on this, but if you guys could put the website in there, it's rehabestimatorpro.com. Matt and I were just talking actually before we went live. We're just going to be really talking about the app today and what it's about and some of the features of it. And then I'm going to bring him on at a later time and maybe just even do like a walkthrough of some of the houses. Maybe even at a house that I'm at, we can do something live where we're going through it and I can show you how all of that works. Because I have to be honest, I've used this for the better part of 2 years. And I think it's just not only given me confidence, but also given some of our homeowners confidence to know, like, this is actually what it's really going to cost to redo this home. And now also remember, this is my pricing versus, what retail would be.
That's
right?
Great. Yeah, completely. You nailed it. And a lot of people didn't see that until later, just what you're saying, because I'm using an iPad typically or a tablet coming in. And you're right. You were one of the first to see that, like, hey, you know what, I'm going to give this to, Mrs. Jones here and say, hey, could you just hang on to this? Because they're very curious, right? You're not just some, another investor, maybe one of 12, that have come through where you're just keeping stuff all up here, right? or you've got this, the yellow tablet, right? The infamous tablet that you're going to go through and pull a number out of your rear end, right? This is something now that it's tangible. It's right there. You've got these check boxes, and they actually get interested, and you can hand it to them and say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Homeowner, can you tell me right now, like, what do you think about this bathroom? Do you think, we have to do anything with this? And they'll feed you the whole time now. They'll say, this, it needs to be updated for sure. The last time we did it was in the 80s. It definitely needs to be updated. Okay, so we're just going to hit the bathroom button here. It's a full bath, no problem. Now they're telling you the scope of work, okay? And you're right. It's your pricing on your end as an investor. They can't get this. As a retail multiplier, you can change that in the system, but they're going to be paying 25, 30% more if they hired the work themselves.
Right. Yeah. And I think one thing to think about too is, you and I are located in the Midwest, right? So you did a ton of research and went all over the country. Can you tell me a little bit about that, of what, some of the work that went into building this application?
Yep. I went all over, like we're connected, Jen, you and I, all over the country with investors. So that was one of the biggest objections that comes right away. Okay. Like, oh yeah, that's great. That's cute for you guys out in the Midwest, and, you're Minnesota and Wisconsin. And, but I'm over here in Maryland, or I'm down in Texas, and so it took me a while to get this dialogue and to really figure this out, because as I was going around the country to all of these investors in every part of the US, because we're in all 50 states, as far as users go. And so I would sit down and talk to these guys that we've known for years in our mastermind groups, and and through our networking, and the pricing was all lining up, so very similar. So I started and I looked at it this way, say, okay, tell me this. I go into a Home Depot or a Lowe's anywhere in the country. A gallon of paint is the same price on the same, in a different part of the country. It doesn't. A gallon of paint doesn't go up, 60% just because you're in San Diego. So why do we think that a painter is, if they charge $25 an hour, they don't charge $200 an hour in New York? You know what I mean? You're just talking about our houses. We're typically, 150, 175,000, right? Like a good 200,000 or less is just a killer. That's going to just, well, they might be dealing with five to $600,000 houses with, 3 times the square footage. So, but to satisfy that, and this is actually being released this week, so this is great timing. I put together a full multiplier sheet for every part of the country. And it's just to show you, because we have a multiplier control on the very front page. And what I was using that for was, what happened was a lot of banks started getting wind of this around here. And so realtors would call me as BPO or REO agents, and say, hey, I need to get, can you come do the repairs on this house? Just give me a number so that I can show the bank what it really costs, because they know I'm a general contractor as well. You don't have to be, but at least I can give them and email them right from the system. And so I would use the multiplier of like a 30%. So I'd go 1.3 on these, right? Or if say it's a rental property, and I know I'm going to use Chuck in the truck, okay, with his, plastic levels and his station wagon, pulls up. You got to have different crews for different types of, investing and rehabbing you're doing. Well, I might drop that down to like a 0.85, but I've developed a retail sheet that you're going to see coming soon this week here of all of these different multipliers for every part of the country. And you can use it or not, but it's like you're getting into, again, I don't want to get lost in the weeds on that, because if you want to see it and apply it, great. But you're going to see things like, okay, right in the heart of Indianapolis, you may have a 1.1 multiplier, or 1.2, when you start getting into towards the East Coast, so you can choose to use that or not. The best part is, what a great way to connect with your contractors as well, because now you as a newbie investor or very experienced investor can come sit down with your contractor, take them out to lunch and say, hey, let's go over this last flip, or let's just go over the prices. Let's see if we're lining up here, because now you're going to trust me, Mr. Contractor, to go out in the field and bid jobs for you. And you don't have to come to every single job site. You don't have to waste their time, right?
Right. Yeah. And I have to say, the last few that I've done, and I've had a couple new contractors, and we've pretty much been within $5,000 of each other each time.
That's fantastic.
It has been, you know, because it also, like I said, not only gives me confidence, but like you said, gives the contractor confidence that we can go out and bid the job and that we don't have to bring them, like you said, to every site, because not necessarily everything is going to work out, right? Each time you go and each deal that you know. So yeah, so that was a huge thing for me. The other thing I was going to say that I feel like has been super helpful is that, you know, not everybody's going to have access to the MLS. Right. And so one of the big things is we have to determine, you know, what the after repair value or ARV is on these homes when we're going to determine, you know, what we can sell it for and do your, you know, your 70% formula and all of that. And so one of the things is it does, you know, pull up Zillow solds. Now, granted, it's not, you know, perfect every time, but at least if somebody doesn't have MLS access, it does give you, you know, something to go by of what the solds are in the neighborhood. And I know you guys did a lot of work on that too.
Right. And we're continuing to add to that all the time, just because it is, you know, the elevator speech is this, Jen, you know the drill. Two things you can't ever screw up in any deal. You know, one is ARV, which you just mentioned, you know, and two is a repair cost. If you're off, like way off on either of those numbers, your deal is done. You know, I mean, what are you going to, you know, that's the bottom line. So it's, we've got it. Why do we have a system like the MLS that everyone trusts? You know, when's the last time you saw a bank accept an appraisal from Redfin, you know, comps? You know, right. I mean, it doesn't happen. So why do we use one system that everyone trusts for the ARV? And then when it comes to repairs, we all just wing it. We all just use these ridiculous, you know, and granted, there are a ton of systems out there, but none like this, because this is a checkbox system that doesn't require you to have experience, and it doesn't require, I don't even want you bringing a tape measure into the house. Okay. Mm-hmm. I want you to bring a flashlight and an electrical tester, and that's it at the most. Okay. So, right. But with those comps, now I always tell people, of course, do your own due diligence. You know, that's, you know, we work with realtors every day. I'm not an agent. I won't ever be an agent, but I actually have several agents that work for me. So right. I have access to the MLS, but REP has a tool, like you said, it pulls Zillow comps, but what we've done that nobody else in the business has done, we layer and stack those Zillow comps. So once we find a good comp, it will actually take that comp and pull comps on that comp and take those. And so it's stacking and layering, and then it shows the map in REP, you know, with that radius as well, to just kind of give you an idea. So now you have a ballpark. And the fun part of watching this is that it's been getting really, really accurate. So at least you have a place to start if you're completely new.
Yeah, and I saw that, and that, like I said, I've seen it, it's been getting better and better. Mm-hmm. So I applaud you guys for that.
Thank you.
One of the things also too is, you know, when negotiating with banks, obviously with, you know, foreclosures and short sales and different things like that, that's also been a tool that we've been able to use as well, because it really shows, because I think there's been a lot of times where some of the houses that we go into, people just don't have any interest in even going in.
Right.
I've had that a couple times, you know, with a few of the BPOs and appraisals, is that they're just in such bad shape that they don't even want to go in. Yep. And so having, you know, that repair bid has been super beneficial. Have you felt like it's worked well for you too?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is one of, you know, we're both in the short sale biz, and we love helping people in, you know, hardship situations where they're facing foreclosure. And so, and you know as well too, that BPO appointment is the most important part of this entire process. Your value is coming from that appointment. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's what we're negotiating from. There's nothing else. There's nothing magical about that business outside of, you know, that BPO appointment is extremely important. So you coming with authority and giving the right information, because that's what you're doing. You're not trying to manipulate the BPO agent. All you're giving them is information. And you say, hey, I've already done the homework. I have the costs right here of what it's going to take. And by the way, these are my costs. So your costs are going to be 20% higher. And I can change that to show them that. You just put in 1.2 on the multipliers. But still, I was, and going back to your original question, which was great, you know, how, you know, why do this? We were using for years, with Jason and Rachel being, you know, teaching this. I remember Rachel bringing up Hammer Point, you know, with I think it was Real Flow or something like that. So it was a great tool. It was clunky. It was, you know, cumbersome, but well, then it just ended. It was gone. And then, you know, they were going to redesign the whole thing and do all this. And it was like, okay, well, that went on for a couple of years. And, you know, so the thing was, it was such a great tool, and we were conditioned to use it because you could actually produce a scope of work So really, it was one of those things also where like, okay, I got to create something that we can use in our short sale business, because it's a golden ticket to just hand off something that you can generate that's accurate. There's no fluff, there's no smoke, there's no lying, there's no cheat. It's literally, here's the scope of work broken out for you in detail in multiple pages.
Right. And it's super professional. You can put your own logo on it. I mean, it's like I said, that's the thing that I think is really nice. Now, one of the things I know that you and I have kind of talked about a little bit was obviously during COVID, right? It's been hard sometimes to get into folks' homes just because obviously, we had stay-at-home orders and people didn't feel comfortable. And so I think, and I haven't personally done it, but have you had people that have used this, to more or less do like a virtual walkthrough of someone's home to then create that repair bid and actually get houses under contract?
Yeah, that was a great, I mean, we had already been doing this. So it was really interesting to watch, how all of a sudden, COVID shows up that nobody, could have even guessed, or estimated, or, so COVID shows up and we have already been doing this. So we just changed our dialogue into, hey, while quarantined. So we actually did a live video and we did some Facebook ads on it, which was really fun because we had homeowners. I remember this one right in town here on 39th Avenue where the sellers, it was a son or a nephew or somebody, gentleman had gone into a home, actually all the way into Minnesota from Wisconsin here. So that he was completely away from the house. Well, we just told him, hey, take your phone, do a quick video. Just please make sure you walk around the whole house. Do an interior. Don't hide anything from me. Show me the basement walls. Show me the furnace. Show me the, each bedroom, the bathrooms, the kitchen, the electrical panel. These are the things I need. It didn't even have to be a live Facebook. Some people will do that, when they're savvy enough. But even if you're technologically, incapable, just to record a video on your phone is, somebody can do that for you. And so just like going on the MLS. Do you remember when we did that live demonstration of going on the MLS with Rachel and we were sending offers right to agents just by seeing pictures? Well, it's the same thing. Now we're using a video and just put it side by side. I just use two screens on my computer to go, okay, here's REP, here's my pictures. I'm checking the boxes as I go through the house. Done, just like I'm there. Great tool, because then you can email it right from REP, right into their inbox. Here's your offer. Here's your scope of work. Here's your comps. We're legit. This is what we do every day, and here's why. You're the only investor out there actually supporting your numbers to show them. Like, I didn't just go, this looks like 30 to 40 grand in repairs, and here's your cash offer. No, you've got evidence, you've got proof, you've got a system.
Right. And then not only that, but kind of talking on that side of things is that it not only gives you the repair budget, but it also produces 3 different offers, more or less, like right inside of the application. So do you want to maybe talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. And that's something too. I'm excited to release this because you're one of the people that I bring stuff to first when we're ready to do a launch, because you're one of our biggest fans and our earliest users. So, we've been really building out these really complex formulas inside in the coding. So to show you with simple offers, now we're showing cash flow and we're creating these versus just the cash offer is always there. That's always the first, in the gate, and your deals are always made in the follow-up, right? But you're showing that cash offer. Hey, this is where we're at. But the 2 other offers it's going to give you right away are seller carry, owner finance, seller finance. They're all the same thing. People use different language for it. So now there's 2 seller finance options that say, hey, this is what we can give you for monthly payments with 0 down. Here's what we can give you for monthly payments, with 20% down. And so you're building, here's your cash offer for 40 grand. Here's your seller finance. We can get you up to 60. And here's your seller finance for 80. We can get you what you want, but you're going to have to take it, for the next, it's 30 years amortized, but we're going to balloon it in 5 or 10 years, whatever you decide. You're telling the seller, you're the bank, let's come to terms. But at least now you have multiple offers to work with the owner.
So what you're saying is this kind of does the work for you.
Yeah, right. And that's the important part, because, think about it. You're now giving multiple offers. How many people walk through the door and just give that cash offer and they're like, oh my gosh, no way, we can't, that's ridiculous. This is embarrassing, get out of my house, okay. And you leave and never call them back. Now actually you should leave with a contract. Okay. Come to terms, figure out what it is that they need, figure out creative financing. There's so many ways to walk away with that deal. You just have to figure it out, and you have to offer you just have to be creative. That's what we do.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I think to kind of get back to some of the features, I just was thinking about it because, without people seeing this obviously in front of them right now. And like I said, we'll do this another time where we can, we can have everybody see it, but it's really easily labeled out too, because you've got a button for exterior, right?
Yep.
And then it has everything that's outside, and then interior, miscellaneous mechanicals, others, and then line items. So more or less adding in something that's maybe not in the list. Like a lot of the times I add in, egress windows, right?
Yep.
And so that's something I also have found, like, oh gosh, wow, I didn't even think about that. Maybe that's something else, that I feel like you guys always keep adding to that of what are some things that, you can do on there. Because obviously different parts of the country, right? Some places have termites, and then there's a lot of mold and, all that kind of stuff. So all of those things are listed in there too for, around the country as well. And I know you guys are always updating that, right?
Always. I love that. And you're going to see a massive update coming in the next 2 weeks because we're adding, and it's people like you that I'm asking, hey, what have you added? What are your costs for this? And so I've got literally on another desk here in the office, I've got all kinds of data. It's about 1.5 inches thick right now of all the things that I'm updating and adding. And you're right. Like in some parts of the country, like we just added in Wisconsin, and this is crazy. You tell me in Minnesota if this has happened yet, but if it's FHA only right now, we have to in Kenosha get termite inspections. Okay. Now
we don't have that.
That's never been a part of any of our, it's never happened. Like you go down south, even Southern Illinois, it's always termite, that you have to inspect. So for me, that was a totally foreign concept, and it's still catching people off guard. Well, when you get way down south, there's actually full termite tenting that they do over a house.
Yep.
So those kind of things, there's no basements, down south. There's only, it's only electric heat. There's no natural gas on the East Coast, so those kind of things you have to be aware of and navigate through. But still, the exterior, interior, and the miscellaneous mechanicals, those three major those are your major components that also, as a newbie investor, or even solid, just if you've been doing this forever, it's a checklist so you don't forget. I can't tell you how many times I, as a contractor, went through a full remodeling proposal, and you get back to the office, you give your numbers, and you come back and go, oh my gosh, I forgot all the millwork. Like I didn't put any doors and casing, and like that's just, I'm going to eat that if I get this job. So at least this is a checklist so you can go, okay, don't forget to look at the the electrical panel, don't forget to look at the bathrooms, don't forget to look at the basement, and don't forget, you know what I mean? So that's very helpful too for us all. We can all use that, especially if you're scaling your business, ramping up, and you're looking at sometimes 5 to 10 houses a day. You've got to have systems in place.
Absolutely. So we're kind of coming to the end of our time. Is there any like last parting words, more or less, that that you could get? Like, is there any kind of trial period that somebody can do to just kind of check it out and see how it works? I actually just talked to my developer this morning, and so within an hour here, probably less, I'm gonna give you the code REP 2020, so that any of your listeners, if you go online, if people have already checked it out, it's $97 a month. But we have dropped that down for you to $29.95 a month. So less than $30 a month. And this is something that, we want you to look at this as almost like a gym membership, like this is like a, Planet you can join for $10 a month. Are you kidding me? I mean, the facilities are amazing. Like you don't want to give this up. And this is one of the most basic tools you need to be an investor. Okay. Right.
So we want you to think that if you can't give up less than $30 a month to be an investor, you're out of the business. Okay. If I can't pay $10 a month, I'm out of the, there's no way I'm going to pay attention to my health anymore. Okay. If I can't do that, so that's what we want. That's how we want you to look at it. We want you to be able to use these tools in a way that you can get an accurate takedown number for any house you walk into, and remove that fear. I talked to so many investors that they've spent a year, sometimes 2 years, setting up their website and setting up all of these systems, and they've never launched, they've never sent an offer. They feel great with comps. They've done a ton of walkthroughs. They're just so afraid to turn in that offer because they don't know if they're going to lose big time on the repairs and contractors.
Yeah. So everybody, I just put that code in the comments here, REP 2020. You get that special discount for $29.95 a month, down from 97. I definitely think it's so worth it. I mean, I have to say, like I said, I'm one of the biggest fans, and that's why I wanted to bring you on, Matt, because I really think it's something. And not to go like gender specific here too, but sometimes, I'm going to be honest. I mean, walking through a house, sometimes I get looks of saying that I probably don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
So again, not to like bring that into it, but it's the reality and it happens. And so just even as a woman and going in and being confident about, what my numbers are. Now, granted, I've also walked through hundreds of houses now, so I know, but even starting out, it really just kind of gives you, that confidence to be able to say like, no, this is what it is. And, I mean, being able to present real numbers and have those real conversations with people and meet their needs, where they're at. So,
and you're also, you now have sort of a mini blueprint of a glossary to start understanding terminology. And so when you walk in like a boss and just say, oh, I'm sorry, but yeah, we're going to have to upgrade your panel. It looks like you have 60 amp service and we're going to have to get up to, and they kind of go, oh, okay, wait a second. She knows what she's talking about here,
Yeah. All right, awesome. So check it out. Like you guys, I said, I have it in our comments right there, rehabestimatorpro.com, and then that special code REP2020 to get that special discount down there. Check it out. I will, like I said, probably bring Matt. No, I will, not probably. I'm going to bring Matt back on and we'll do, like literally a walkthrough and just show everybody how this actually works at a later date. He and I will probably set that up after this. But I want to thank everybody for joining me. If you guys have questions, I didn't have any that came through during now, but if something comes up and you're watching this live now, if you weren't able to watch us live and you have questions, post it in the comments. I've already tagged Matt on here too. He can answer questions for you. I can answer, if I don't know and, you want to reach out to Matt, please do. But thanks you guys for joining us. For those of you to just remember about Property House, our website is propertyhousepartners.com. House is spelled H-A-U-S. All of the lives go on our website as well if you're not able to find it in my feed. You can also ask me specific questions on YouTube, and that's Property House Partners. Sometimes it's hard to thumb through these lives and get to the, the answers to the questions that you have. Post a comment in there, subscribe. We'll be able to answer those questions for you. And then a lot of before and after pictures that we do are posted on my Facebook or also on our Instagram, which is Property House Partners. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. I'm probably going to be doing another final walkthrough of that house that's going on the market later this week that I just posted pictures on some of the before and afters, and you guys will see some of that next week. So I look forward to seeing you all. Thanks so much for joining us. Matt, thanks again for being here, and I will let you guys know when Matt is going to be on next. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks for having me. Great to see you, Jen.
Right. Yep, you too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.